1162. A boy is born in a felt tent with a blood clot in his fist. His people believed this meant he was destined to be a warrior. His name is Temujin. Within 2 years, his father is poisoned by a rival tribe. His family is abandoned on the steppe. They survive for years by eating roots, rats, and whatever they can scavenge from the frozen ground. At 11, Temujin is captured by a rival clan and fitted with a wooden slave collar. He has nothing. He owns nothing. He is nothing. 65 years later, he controls an empire stretching from the Pacific coast of China to the doorstep of Western Europe, the largest contiguous land empire in human history. An empire that modern economists estimate produced wealth equivalent to over $100 trillion in today's money. And here is the most extraordinary part. Genghis Khan personally owned almost none of it. He refused to live in palaces. He refused to hoard gold. He refused to accumulate personal wealth the way every other conqueror in history did. And that refusal, that deliberate rejection of wealth hoarding, is the secret behind the greatest wealth creation system the ancient world ever produced. Let's decode it. Temujin's early life reads like a series of disasters that should have destroyed him. Abandoned by his tribe after his father's death, enslaved at 11, his wife Borte kidnapped by a rival tribe shortly after their marriage, his half-brother murdered over a piece of food. Each catastrophe taught him something, and what he learned again and again was this. In the Mongolian steppe, survival depended entirely on alliances. No individual, no family, no small clan could survive alone. The world belonged to those who built networks of loyalty strong enough to withstand any attack. So Temujin began building, slowly, methodically. He formed alliances with other clan leaders, offering his loyalty and demanding theirs. He was generous to those who submitted and merciless to those who resisted. He built a reputation for keeping his word completely. In a world where breaking your word was standard practice, this alone made him extraordinary. By 1206, he had unified all the Mongol tribes under a single banner for the first time in history. The Great Assembly of Mongol leaders, the Kurultai, declared him Genghis Khan, universal ruler. The first rule of the Genghis Khan wealth code: loyalty is the only currency that scales without limit. Gold can be stolen. An army of loyal men cannot. Most people think of the Mongol conquests as simple destruction. Cities burned, populations massacred, civilizations erased. This is half the story. The other half is the most sophisticated trade strategy in ancient history. The Silk Road, the network of trade routes connecting China to the Mediterranean, was the economic spine of the ancient world. Silk, spices, porcelain, glassware, gold, horses, everything of value moved along these routes, and every city along the Silk Road taxed the trade that passed through it. Genghis Khan didn't just conquer the cities along the Silk Road, he connected them. Under Mongol rule, for the first time in history, a merchant could travel the entire length of the Silk Road, from China to Persia to the Black Sea, under a single legal authority. The Mongols guaranteed safe passage. They standardized trade laws. They created a postal relay system, the Yam, that allowed messages and goods to travel thousands of miles at speeds that wouldn't be matched until the telegraph. Mongol-controlled trade exploded. Goods that had previously taken months to move across fragmented kingdoms now moved in weeks. Trade volume on the Silk Road increased dramatically, and the Mongols taxed every transaction that crossed their territory. The second rule: you don't need to own the goods to profit from trade. Own the road, and every merchant pays you to use it. Here is the part of the Genghis Khan story that nobody teaches. When Mongol forces captured a city, they did something unusual with the wealth they found. They distributed most of it. Gold, silver, silk, livestock. A portion went to the imperial treasury, but a large share was distributed among the soldiers, the commanders, and the allied tribes. Genghis Khan himself lived in a felt tent, a gur, his entire life. He never built a palace for himself. He never accumulated jewels or personal treasure displays. His generals and officers were expected to do the same. Why? Because Genghis Khan had observed something in his years on the steppe. Leaders who accumulated personal wealth became targets. Their soldiers resented them. Rival leaders plotted against them. And hoarded wealth attracted enemies faster than it built loyalty. By distributing wealth instead of hoarding it, Genghis Khan ensured that every man who fought for him had a personal financial stake in the empire's continued success. The soldiers weren't fighting for his gold, they were fighting for their own. This created an army unlike anything the world had seen. Men who were personally invested in every victory, because every victory meant personal gain. The third rule: distribute wealth to those who create it, and they will create more. Hoard it, and they will eventually take it by force. This is the fundamental principle behind modern profit sharing, employee equity, and performance bonuses. Genghis Khan discovered it on the Mongolian steppe in the 12th century.
One of Genghis Khan's greatest financial innovations was the yam, the Mongol postal and communication relay system. Across the entire empire, relay stations were established every 20 to 40 miles. At each station, fresh horses, food, and lodging were available for official Mongol riders and, crucially, for licensed merchants. A merchant with a Mongol paisa, a silver or gold tablet that served as a kind of imperial passport and banking instrument, could travel the entire empire under imperial protection, using the relay stations for rapid, safe transport. The paisa was also an early form of the letter of credit. A merchant could present it as proof of financial standing, essentially a guarantee backed by the Mongol imperial system. This combination, safe roads, relay stations, and a primitive banking instrument, created the infrastructure for the largest free trade zone in the ancient world. The fourth rule: infrastructure is the greatest investment. Every road you build earns money every time someone uses it, forever. The Genghis Khan Wealth Code has 5 rules. 1. Loyalty scales without limit. Temujin built his empire on networks of genuine loyalty, earned through generosity, consistency, and keeping his word. No amount of gold can buy what genuine loyalty provides. 2. Own the road, not the goods. The Mongols didn't try to manufacture silk or grow spices. They controlled the routes everything traveled on and collected a fee on every transaction. 3. Distribute to motivate. By sharing wealth with his soldiers and commanders, Genghis Khan created an army of personally invested partners, not paid employees. Every man fought for his own future, not just his master's glory. 4. Infrastructure earns forever. The Yam relay system turned the Mongol Empire into the ancient world's greatest logistics network. Infrastructure built once earns indefinitely. 5. Never let comfort make you soft. Genghis Khan lived in a felt tent his entire life, by choice. He understood that the moment a leader becomes attached to comfort, he becomes afraid to risk it. He remained a conqueror because he never had anything comfortable to lose. Genghis Khan died in 1227. The exact cause is debated. Some historians say battle wounds, others say illness. His burial site was deliberately hidden, and according to Mongolian tradition, the soldiers who attended his funeral were killed to keep the location secret. His grave has never been found. He left behind the largest empire in human history, an empire that, under his successors, would go on to control China, Persia, Russia, and reach the gates of Western Europe. He left no personal treasury, no palace, no hoard of gold with his name on it. His wealth was the empire itself, the roads, the trade routes, the relay stations, the loyal armies. And here is the most remarkable thing. Within a century of his death, the Mongol Empire had begun to fragment. His descendants built palaces. They accumulated gold. They became attached to comfort. They stopped distributing wealth and started hoarding it. They forgot the no gold rule, and the empire that had conquered half the world collapsed from within. The lesson that Genghis Khan's entire life teaches is the same lesson that the most successful modern organizations keep rediscovering. The leader who gives the most keeps the most. That is the Genghis Khan Wealth Code. I'm the Money Chronicle, decoding the wealth secrets history forgot to teach you. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video.